I think I haven't had a drink in about 3 weeks.
Awesome. Okay.
I'm no other reason than I'm going to play a big poker tournament and I'm practicing disciplines.
Great.
So it's like I'm just practicing not doing the thing I feel like doing.
Yep. It's a challenge. You're basically saying like, how do I? You're honing your mental.
Yep.
And you're going
because the biggest problem with poker is like you know what to do, but then you're like, I kind of just want to do it anyways. You know, so it's like if I can get I kind of just want to do it anyways out of my system.
Yeah.
Then when I'm playing, I'll just be like, nope, I don't do that. You know.
Yeah.
That's what I've got in my mind.
So you're like, it's basically a little bit of a boot camp for training your own mind.
Yeah.
When you're going into that.
Yeah, because like
well, you can drink this.
I'm
I'm
going to.
Perfectly fine.
I'm going to.
I'm like getting comfortable now. Like
No.
Well,
Yeah, no.
Well, go.
Yeah.
Shit.
Are we rolling?
Not a damn chance. Not a damn chance.
Let's go.
Hell yeah.
Thanks for coming,
Dude, thank
brother
you.
Eric.
It's a pleasure to see you guys.
I want to give you a quick little intro.
Yeah.
Erik Ellington here. You know, the legendary skateboarder. You've done like so many different things. You've helped build the culture of skating that we know of today.
Thank you.
You not only like insane skater, you also created like a ton of companies as well with that. You're like a self-made like entrepreneur that just from skating, you just built all these other brands and companies.
I'm trying to be like you.
Yeah, I'm trying to be like you.
I'm trying to catch up.
Dude, it's like crazy.
Thank you.
Inspiring
I
for me,
appreciate
you know,
that.
and then obviously, you know, your story with, you know, alcoholism and fighting through that, like it truly motivated me and tons of other skaters alike.
I appreciate that, man.
Dude, and
I'm
you know,
happy to be of some sort of service in
Yeah,
a
dude.
positive way now.
yeah, man, thank you. And
Yeah.
you know, you created Bakerboys, you know, which also helped a lot of other skaters kind of have their own career in skateboarding and their chance to live out their dream, and myself included. So thank you for that, you know. And, you know, just so much more. But there's like so much that you do, which is like insane to me, you know, and your father on top of that. So I just kind of want to like start it off at like, how does a man that was born in Alaska kind of like get into all of this? You know what I mean? Like,
see.
It was hard enough for me to find like, you know, skate parks growing up in LA, you know, places
during that time.
Yeah.
For sure. Yeah. And man, I appreciate that so much, you know.
Yeah,
and
man.
I do it, you know, it's I don't think any of us had the, you know, the playbook on how to do any of this, how to be a man, how to be a stand-up guy, how to be a father, and, you know, without the structure of having people in your life to be able to help mentor you and do all that. So like for me, you know, my life was a bit disrupted and disorganized from the start. You know, but I had a couple really good figures in my life.
Awesome.
Along with some not so good figures.
yeah,
But
for
you know,
sure.
I
which is
think-
sometimes super valuable.
Absolutely. You know, sometimes the best lessons you can get come from
It's what
the
not to do.
mistakes and what not to
Yeah.
do. Exactly. And, you know, skateboarding being sort of the foundation for a lot of that, you know, like that's, you know, it's a family, it's friends, it's people that, you know, it becomes your tribe, your community.
For sure.
And so, you know, that being the sort of starting point from all of that, right? It's like, you know, that was built in Alaska. That was built in Arizona where I live. That was built in San Diego, Hollywood, you know, like, you know, wherever we moved to. And, you know, that same group of people just like you, you know, our friendship is just about 20, you know, 15 to 20 years.
yeah.
And that'll
Crazy.
always be there, right? And it's cool because, you know, the same kind of people along the way that are in the 30-year mark, which I was thinking about in the shower this morning, because the 1995 was when I moved. 95, 96 is when I moved. I got sponsored by
From Alaska?
No, it moved to San Diego.
San Diego from
So,
Arizona.
Yeah. Yes, I
Yeah.
moved to San Diego from Arizona.
Okay.
That was 30 years ago.
Wow.
Which, you know, I exclaimed. I swear to God, I was in the shower, I was like, whoa. Like, you know,
30
because you
years.
think about that
Yeah.
on a timeline of like us and how, and we've had some big changes in our life over
For
the last
sure.
10 so years, right? You know, and those are monumental changes, right? But then just, you know, I have a 19-year-old and a 16-year-old That was a long time
Why?
before they were born. You know,
Yeah.
and now they're moving
Yeah.
out of the house. My son moves to Nevada in a couple of
No way.
couple of weeks actually.
Wow.
Wild.
It's a whole other conversation.
Yeah,
and a whole
yeah,
thing. But
wild.
you know, I guess like I think that skateboarding is it's ultimately it's a DIY type thing. You know?
Yeah.
You create your own. You're somewhat self-motivated because you
Mhm.
don't have a coach. You don't have anybody there telling you what the
Mhm.
playbook is and how to do this
To
and how to
show
do that.
up, do
Yeah,
this. Yep.
You show up because you love to do it. You want to
Mhm.
learn, and there's a lot of endurance and fighting through and grit building through that because basically, you got to get your ass kicked, and you keep getting your ass kicked doing it,
Mhm.
and then you come out the other side, and there's never a time in skateboarding where it becomes easy.
For sure.
Right? Like,
Yeah.
it's one of those things where there's always a challenge within it, right?
Like each day is a new challenge.
Absolutely.
And it's never like the back of your hand. It's just like, all right,
No.
it could even be like an old faithful, like something that you're so good at doing, like a big spin or something.
one
or
day,
switch front
doesn't work
side
the
flip.
next day, you know, like-
It's just everything takes so much work in skating.
And
Well,
then-
it teaches you
and
perseverance.
Yeah.
That's exactly what it teaches you. and
I feel like
believe that.
everybody should have to like be a line cook in a kitchen
Mhm.
and skateboard.
Yeah,
like that,
Because if
for
you
sure.
can if you can not give up after your 90th try,
Exactly.
it's the best feeling in the world.
Mhm.
I agree, and there's so many probably parallels to that.
Yeah.
You know, like where it's like these kind of things, like being a chef is like being a line cook is like being a skateboarder from Alaska, or
Mhm.
you
For
know,
sure.
like being, like you were in the in the Midwest,
Mhm.
Illinois, in places like this where fucking weather is kicking your ass too.
Yeah.
You got a lot of things going against you, and it builds that grit, it builds that perseverance. And if you can make it through that, I think that you can make it through basically anything.
Yeah.
For sure.
Well, it's just that mindset of like, I didn't fail.
Mhm.
I just am still working the kinks out to get there.
Yeah.
Because so many people will just like, you try it, you fail, you move on to the next thing because it didn't work out.
Right.
Mhm.
Right.
You know, but like
If you
the
stick
whole
with
point of
it.
skateboarding is not to land a trick every single time. I mean, at this point now, you guys can most of the time. Like
Not me. I'll speak for
Not me
myself.
neither.
I skated the barracks with him a couple of years
He's
ago.
still ripping. I'm on the other. I'm a.
He's just-
I can't land
He's just
everything every time.
dude, shut up. He's just fucking floating around. He's just popping everything. Like, I'm just like, Jesus Christ. But no, I mean, the point of skateboarding, at least for me, because I grew up skateboarding,
Yeah.
was like, it was about, I mean, really one of those things where like, it's about the journey. It's about,
it is. It
it's
is.
it's
That's a
about
great way to put it.
trying to get the trick more than it's about getting the trick.
It's the in between moments.
Yeah.
Right?
Which is
Like,
the reason why you don't go do the thing you can do easily every single time. You're always trying the thing that is too difficult for you, that's just outside of your grasp.
I always say like,
Yeah.
if I'm not falling, I'm really not skating. Like if I'm just
Yeah,
playing it
yeah.
safe all
Yeah.
day, it's like I'm not really pushing myself to progress or pushing myself to do better than
completely
the last
Yeah.
time I skated, you know? So
I agree with
I
that.
need to be mopping up the floor with my hair and my
Yeah,
back all day.
There's also something fun about that.
Yeah.
Taking a hit and
Mhm.
getting back up. And this also kind of ties into you got to be a bit obsessive
Yeah,
about what
for
it is
sure.
you love to do, right? Like you're not gonna keep going back to being a line cook if you don't like doing it, right?
Yeah.
Because you're getting beat up, right? You're not gonna be in this game for 30 plus years like us if
Mhm.
you're in skateboarding if you don't somewhat enjoy it, which kind of goes to this bit of insanity and the obsession of that,
Yeah.
which I think that our generation produced a number
Mhm.
of alcoholic,
Mhm.
because it's just naturally, it kind of goes hand in hand. That
Yeah.
obsession of the mind, that, there's a lot of things that kind of play into that for me personally, which I
Yeah.
do believe that kind of goes across the board.
And I mean, my industry as well. A lot
Yeah.
of alcohol, a lot of drugs, a lot of everything. I mean, they're both extreme sports,
Mhm.
in their own right. And I do think, I mean, but it's not. I mean, you have to obsess, I think, over anything if you want. If not even if you want, if you're going to become
Completely.
either stand out or even successful.
Got to be a little crazy,
Yeah.
right?
Mhm.
Like,
Yeah.
to get good at something is it's the 10,000 hour theory or something.
Yep.
To get
Yep.
good at something, you got to be a little crazy to spend that much time on something.
For
You
sure.
gotta fucking love it.
Yeah.
You gotta and you gotta really you gotta want it more than what doesn't want you to get it.
So why do you think? I mean, was it your upbringing in Alaska? Was it not until you like? What do you think it was that made you have that strive and that drive?
I think it's part that, and maybe okay, so it's possible that some of that comes genetics. Like you're just you've got something that pushes you. Like there's something that I was born with. Every day I wake up with the willingness to want to go out and get something.
Yeah,
and part of that is my alcoholism. Like part of that is that. I had some good father figures in my life. My stepdad, Johnson Quarles, was a great father figure. He was an entrepreneur himself. And, he grew up here in South Central LA in the 60s, and he created his own path. And I believe that I learned a lot from him. He was a pilot for, for a commercial airline for 727s.
Wow.
He was one of the first black model builders for Hot Wheels back in the day for Mattel. So he was building. He was. I mean, this is like these are challenges in the 60s and 70s. That it was very difficult to do. So like he opened up his own body shop in Alaska. The best body shop in Alaska. And people are getting in car crashes all the time up there. And I watched that, and it was like his perseverance to fight through and battle the people that did not want him to get something. And this was
it's an extra level.
It's an extra level of wonder. I saw that, and I think at my teen years, I sort of rebelled against that discipline because naturally you're a teenager and you don't want that in your life. And later on in my life, when I maybe 18, 19, 20 years old, I picked up on some of those things. And that's why, me and some friends started Balance Skateboards in Arizona when we were 16, 17 years old.
Sick.
And then we ended up, there was that kind of, that mentality of, and that's what I got from my stepdad. It was, if it doesn't exist, you're going to fucking do it yourself.
Yeah.
And so
I like
that was I think the primary driver was my own willingness after, and I'll speak on sobriety as well, because I almost threw it all away, right? Like, with my own demons and alcoholism and reason I started drinking and using drugs and all that. But I believe that there's certain things that skateboarding taught me. There's certain things I had the willingness, because man, depression's a real thing, right? Like these are real things that get in the way of people being able to do something.
Yeah.
I am blessed in my life where I have I'm not disabled with certain things that don't allow me to wake up and go, I'm going to go out and I'm going to give it every fucking thing I got today. And so those are blessings mixed with experiences in my life. My mom traveling all over the country because she was a gypsy and wanted to seek some kind of happiness wherever she went. And would run from, and this is, she would chase that wherever she felt like she needed to go. And that we know is not the answer, right? But as a young kid, I was put in these different situations where I had to adapt and make new friends. Elementary school, middle school, multiple schools in middle school, multiple schools in high school.
Always moving around.
Yeah. And so I was picked on as a skater. I was, I went to places where I like coming from Alaska. These are things where my life has put in front of me things, and I've used the perspective. And this comes from before I got sober to after. And after I got sober, I always try to use the perspective of appreciate what this is, because it could be worse. So no matter what is happening to me in my life, I can always go back to you're a lucky guy, right? Like, I kind of always go back to that. And so I think this is also tapping into why, and I'm on a long rant here, right? But
I love it, man.
But this taps into when I got sober.
Yeah.
And I was looking at a long-term prison sentence for something that I did. And I got through that. And there was a 14-month trial, like preparation for trial, going through that whole process.
I remember all that.
14 months, remember, to marinate on what life would be like in prison, what life would be like when I get out and my kids are fully grown adults and 30 plus years old.
So you had both your kids when
I
this
had
happened?
both my kids. They were young at the time. This was 2014.
Are you able to talk about what happened?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I was in Colorado in 2013, and I was going to, it was a skateboard event we were doing out there, and I came back to the hotel bar, and I had some drinks during the day, and I think that the type of person I am, right, is I try not to cause any trouble, but I think that during my time when I'm drinking, or when I admit maybe I'm still like this to a degree, but I also know what value what value life has and how easily that can be taken away.
Yeah.
But back then I didn't have quite that value. So if somebody started shit with me, and I would react, right?
Yeah.
And I would and that's what I've become, is less reactive to things that actually don't affect my life.
And
Yeah.
of course, alcohol could kind of
amplifies
it
it.
pours gasoline right on
yeah,
that.
you know.
So, guy came up, whole crew, people drunk, dudes talking shit, doing their thing,
Yeah.
normal stuff. You're at a small town in Colorado, and it's, me and a couple friends. At the time, it was John Dixon and Brian Herman.
Yeah.
We all had long hair at the time, so we stood out a little bit.
Yeah.
And they came up and talking shit and doing their thing and slapped me on the back and came up and sat next to me. And when that moment is coming, you got a guy who slaps you on the back, he's talking shit, and he comes up and sits
Adrenaline's
next to
already
you,
up.
kind of getting right in your face. It's coming, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
And so I knew it was coming. So I had the pint glass in my hand. I smashed it around the side of his face, and I, tried to jump on him.
Yeah.
And, my reaction to that was do whatever by any means necessary to, hey, it's not the right thing to do, but that was my reaction at the time.
Yeah.
What I did was I cut his neck, and it fucked him up pretty bad.
Yeah.
And then, and then a fight ensued. His whole crew, 5 or 6, 7 people jumped on me, and I managed to make my way out and up to my hotel room. And so the police arrested me. They came up, and I've been in situations where you get in a fight at a bar, everybody goes home.
And it's just whatever.
Maybe the cops end up showing up.
Everyone kind of like initiated it.
Yeah.
It's kind of everyone's problem in a way.
Everybody dusts it off, and it's all good.
Yeah.
So unfortunately, and fortunately, and I'll get to the fortunately part
for
why
sure.
later, is that I was facing some first degree felony assault with a deadly weapon with
So they
intent to
turned
cause
they
bodily injury and
turned
harm.
the
Absolutely.
glass into a weapon.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So they turned it into a deadly weapon. I may as well have walked in
Wow.
with a pistol and started shooting people. I
Mhm.
mean,
Yeah.
not quite, but they turned it
That's
into
what
that, which, for all purposes, that was it.
Yeah.
Hey, it harmed the guy.
Yeah.
So the state of Colorado, pled those charges out, and the whole process took 14 months to be able to finally get through. And what I did was, I had the means to be able to hire a big firm in Colorado to be able to help represent me, because the charges were so severe that they were like, hey, this is what you're looking at. So I did that. I went in and I was starting to get my signatures in AA by their recommendation. I was going to anger management classes. I was doing all of these things and character testimonials and all this stuff.
So the
right?
attorneys suggested that you went and
Yes.
did those things?
So you could present a stronger case,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Okay.
And throughout that process, it introduced me to Alcoholics Anonymous. And so, and this is something that, we don't talk about in the program, but I'm just going to say it. That's what it introduced me to.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so through my own 12-step program and my own recovery over those next 14 months, even though I was the anxiety, the where I was going in my life, the unknowing of being able to go through a case that you got with the lawyer saying you got about a 60-40 chance or 70, whatever and that would change over the weeks and months, right? And I'm like, man, so I'm gonna go to trial, and I don't know how this could play out. It's a roll of the dice.
Oh man.
Yeah.
So my anxiety was high, but I was sober. Okay.
Yeah.
So
How hard was it to actually, was there a lot of struggle and resistance in getting sober? Or was it kind of just like, I need to not go to jail, so I'm going to have to overcome it?
it's that, but the first month I didn't know how serious it was. So I was taking sleeping pills to sleep, and I was still drinking, and I was still doing the same process that I was doing before to use that as the tool to get through the anxiety.
I feel like building up to this point too, you would take little sections of sobriety.
I would,
too.
yeah.
So you're kind of used to it in a way.
I was,
but
yeah.
This was like the catalyst that was like, okay.
Yes. And once I heard how serious it was, I was like, I will do whatever it takes to be able to try and at least to be able to present the strongest case. And at that point, I still wasn't addressing why I drank and used the way I did. It was all still kind of like, I'm just going to get sober so I can get the fuck out of this. Right.
Is it almost like one of those things where it's like, God, please, whatever it takes, I
Whatever
will
it takes.
do. I'll never touch it again. Just get me through this type of.
Yes, almost.
Yeah.
Except I wasn't really willing to do every single thing,
Yeah.
which is the work in looking at where I needed to take accountability for my actions in my life. So I was very close. I was 99% of the way there. I was really close. I was willing to do almost everything except actually look at myself.
Yeah.
Take the accountability.
Yeah, which is probably 99% of it actually, so it's
Yeah.
the other way around. And so And to put that into context, the moment, you know, I had gone to Colorado, I don't know, 10, 15 times over the course of those 14 months. You know, you fly in, you fly out, and you're going to, you know, you're sitting in these hearings, you're coming out. The firm is putting together, you know, they're hiring private investigators to research the people and their connections to other people and where, you know, because like, you know, I was at fault here, but at the same time, you know, the other guy wasn't a saint in this situation either.
Did they have video footage or anything?
Yeah, they had surveillance footage.
So they could see that he came to you looking for...
They could, but...
Or at least you could allege they was looking for a fight.
And that's what...
Because you didn't go to him.
Because the jury can look at that and go, well, he could say he
sat
was
at the bar
and patted you on the back, friend. You know, like, so there's a, you know, there's a gray area there, right? Yeah. But just fast forward 14 months to me getting through it, and best day of my life, you know, I'm going like, oh my God. Well, 2 weeks later, I drank. So it wasn't quite that much of a consequence.
Yeah.
So what it was...
So did you just get off, or you got off with a small amount, or...
There was a situation... Oh, get off of the case?
Yeah.
5 years probation, 2 felonies.
Okay.
So I had there was...
But you didn't have to do time.
Restrictions. No, because in the end, they gave me two felonies that held a 2nd-degree charge, which carried time associated with those. But the judge, at the judge's discretion, could choose whether or not to give me that time based on my presentation.
Yeah.
So he looked and said, "Hey, look, it looks like you've done, you know, these charity events. They're, you know,
it's kind of like you did your time over the last 14 months.
You've done your work, and it looks like you're sober, and this and that." But the original charge they hit me with carried mandatory sentencing. So had I not taken that plea of this, so basically, the technical thing I did was I took the plea rather than going through rather than going through a trial. But in going through the trial, I would have to have my, you know, your jury, all this other stuff, and I would have, the worst case scenario is I would have gotten the mandatory sentencing of the 1st degree. Oh, wow. So I wasn't willing to take that risk. They gave me the plea deal, which carried suggested time based on what the judge thought. So I was going in there going, okay, I'm not going to risk the 30 years. Right.
Wow, they were going to hit you with 30?
Yeah, I'm not going to risk that. But what I will risk is the 1 to 3, 2 to 6 over here.
Yeah.
And I'm going to say, if they go for the midway point of those, I'm going to serve 5 years. I may serve 2 or 3.
And that's the gamble that's...
And I can handle that.
Yeah.
I mean, not like I can.
not what you want.
I will to, but you'll handle 5
when you're
before
looking
you'll
at
handle
30 or 3, you're like, okay, let's see. Or you flee the country, right?
Yeah.
Like, you know, and that wasn't an option either. You know, not to say I'm like famous by any means, but you know, people recognize I'm a skateboarder.
Oh yeah.
So
known.
I actually wanted to ask because you were famous in my circles. I mean, did this become public? Was there, because I actually hadn't heard about this.
No, I kept it very private. And in fact, there was the firm that I hired was very, very serious, you know, and they were like, obviously, you know, they're getting paid well and they're doing the job to the best of their ability. So there was a lot of things where, and I wasn't, there was no discretion about how my lifestyle was lived before that, but we cleaned it up. You know, it was like, there was a lot of things that were done. Right. And, you know, for years, I wanted to be able to share the story so that I could share that, you know, somebody else can associate with that. And there's reasons why I couldn't stop drinking. And then there was reasons why eventually led me to where I went. But I just wasn't comfortable talking about it. I just did a podcast with a friend, you know, a little bit ago, and I talked about it. And I think I may have talked about it in an interview, you know, some kind of it was maybe a Thrasher piece that Whale and Bone did. That was the first thing I ever talked about it on.
Okay.
But that was also years later.
It's a hard thing to talk
hard.
about.
It was hard. It's hard now to talk about it, but at
sure.
the same time, I know that story can be associated with for people who are
inspiration.
battling their own.
I mean, we haven't quite gotten to where you've come from that, but like, you know, where you have come from that. I mean, I think you would acknowledge that, like, had that not happened, you may not be in the same place you are today.
Absolutely not. Which comes back to the part where that I'm grateful for.
Yeah,
turning a negative into a positive.
Exactly, the perspective of that, because I can live in that place very easily. I like to steep in my misery.
Yeah,
you know, that's the type of person I can be. With this, the perspective that it gave me was for a few years after that happened. I was so resentful at that person, right? You know, that for doing that, for coming up and starting trouble, whatever it was.
Yeah.
And then I got to the phase in my life where, had that not happened, I wouldn't be where I am.
Yeah.
I may never have gotten sober.
Yeah.
For sure.
Now, what kind of a father that turned me into, what kind of a, husband, friend, business partner, just citizen out there.
Yeah.
It changed everything about me fundamentally, and I am forever indebted to the situation that happened the way it did.
For
And
sure.
I love that.
I don't wish to, impart harm on anybody,
Yeah.
but that's what it took.
Yeah.
Mhm.
It seems to be a very, very common thread amongst successful people that they are able to look back at some of the worst things that have ever occurred and find gratitude.
Yeah.
That's, I mean, there's so many things I've been through, and we've talked about this a million times, of like, I would never wish that on my worst enemy, but I'm so grateful because
exactly.
there's no way, I would be who I am today. And there are so many people out there who aren't able to find that gratitude, and who are so easy to blame others, blame circumstances, blame the world, and then wonder how come I'm not happy and successful.
Exactly.
And I think that's the thing that, you should think about writing a book about this, or this is
epic.
One day, maybe one day there's all these things are, it's all direct extensions, and this comes back to the why I do things that I do.
Yeah.
And I'm passionate about pretty much everything I do, right? And it's like whatever I'm into at the time, I create. It didn't matter whether it's a skateboard company out of your garage in Arizona, or a beverage company that you're doing.
Which, by the way, can we take a second and open these? Because
yeah, for sure.
The story is so compelling, but I'm sitting over here being like, I need to try this.
So what is this right, Eric?
This is my non-alcoholic beer. It's called Easy Does It.
Wow. Look
So
at
this
that.
is also
This looks sick.
This is awesome.
Thank you. I want to hear what you guys' feedback, especially both of you. You guys with being in the food industry and this.
Yeah, man.
This is probably the most critical opinion that I will get.
So my wife hasn't had a drink in a couple months. I'm like, cheers. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Cheers.
Yes.
Shit.
To drink
Thank
again.
you. I get to drink again, all right? Oh, that's good.
Dude, that is so
That's
good.
really good.
Thank you.
That is, for me, the thing. So I've always been a beer guy.
Yeah.
I still am. I haven't had a drink in a couple of weeks because I'm training for this poker tournament that I'm going to play in, and I'm practicing discipline. But I've always been a beer guy, and for me, the most important thing is the mouthfeel and viscosity.
Yeah.
And when you get a lot of fake beers, it's like beer flavored water.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And this is almost like
That has some thickness.
velvety
to it,
and
Mhm.
chewy, and that's really good.
Thank you.
That's really good.
It's like a banquet.
and I
It's
worked
super
hard
good.
on the recipe. I've had the guy who got me into skateboarding in Alaska. His name's Gabe Fletcher. We're 13 years old, lived down the street from each other. He ended up founding Anchorage Brewing Company, and this is like they do some of the best stuff.
So you're doing
in
it
the
with
world.
him?
No, he actually I hit him up, and we've been in contact. We've known each other for 40 years almost, and when I was doing it, I hit him up and I was like, hey, I'd love some help with the recipe. And him and I just kind of, worked a little bit on it. He sent me some of his tips. He didn't fly out and us sit there like chemists in the brewery. He was like, here's what I would do. And these are the things that are going to get that taste in the mouthfeel that you want, that you're really looking for.
Dude,
and
hell
then
yes.
and then there's a brewery here in Oceanside, and the brewmaster there, and I worked on it with Gabe's help.
Yeah.
And it was a collective effort through my partners and just the fortune of having a friend that I could count on who was able to help me with that.
How long have you been working on it? Sorry.
No, go ahead.
It's been in the works for it's been in the works for about 2 years, but it's really been coming to life in the last year.
Okay.
It honestly tastes more like beer than some of the light beers do.
Great.
It's
That's
got
really
like a
good.
scrimshaw kind of like that, that microbrew Pilsner, because I'm a Pilsner guy.
Well, I used the Czechoslovakian hops in
Yep.
this, and that's
That's
where
what they use, right?
I wanted something that was crushable, that was in the
I could drink
lager
enough of these to
Pilsner
probably get a
style.
buzz.
Yeah,
it has a really good
mentally, maybe if you shotgun maybe 10 of them right now.
Yeah.
But it has that. There's a full flavored feeling to it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
like
there's
you've
like
got
that aftertaste
Yeah.
to it as well.
Yeah.
Where like a lot of non-alcoholics, you like drink it.
It's
You
like
have
hop
a
water,
flavor,
you
and then
know?
it just disappears.
And I love hop water too.
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know, which is why, well, you know, next summer we'll launch Anytime Light, which will be the light version of that, and you know, we'll do a cerveza for dry January. And
Nice.
you know, there's
Hell
some
yeah,
plans, and
sweet.
there's a roadmap of where we're going with it. But the original brew that I wanted something that was, you know, that was a classic American lager, but also
Yes.
had some of those notes of a traditional pilsner.
Yeah.
You know, like because they all fall in that lighter crushable kind of world.
Yeah.
But this, I didn't
It's
want
killer.
it to be like, I didn't want it to be hop water. I wanted it to have a distinct taste that was ours.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's and I'm really, I'm getting goosebumps because you guys, the opinion of that. Me, I haven't drank a beer in a long time, and I
Yeah.
know you haven't,
I have.
but you have. Now
Yeah.
the thing is that your palates are different than mine.
For sure.
You guys are chefs. This is you appreciate food in a way that I don't know how to do. Maybe I could learn, right? But with this, it's like I know what I know. I've gotten good enough to be able to make something I'm really proud of. I think that if some of the people that I've showed it to, I'm very impressed. I'm very happy with their opinion, and hearing it from you guys, that makes me really happy.
Well,
This is the chef right here.
I
just
always,
cook.
I always,
Yeah, I just cook.
Let me get this straight here.
You have a good palate, though.
I have a
Um,
good palate. Yeah.
I always look at the ingredients
Yeah.
in NA beers,
Oh,
but there's
yeah.
so many like ingredients: water, malted barley, hops, yeast.
Yeah, exactly.
Those are the ones.
You just made beer. You just pulled it early,
Yep.
and that's why. And
Exactly.
there's so many like NA beers that are like they're synthetic beer with the
Mhm.
flavor,
Right.
you know. And so like for me, like my favorite hot sauce is Tabasco because there's vinegar, peppers, and salt.
It's very
You pull
basic.
up, you know, sriracha or what, I don't know if it's sriracha, but you pull up some of these ones and it's like xanthan gum and
Right.
coloring and all of these.
Keep it simple.
Yeah.
That's
Crystal
the-
hot sauce is
Yeah.
the same thing. It's just
Yeah, no,
Yeah,
but
peppers,
those
vinegar,
are the
salt.
best. Those are the
Like,
best.
so
Yeah.
good. Yeah.
Which are two of my favorites.
Yeah, the best
You know?
ones. So good on
Yeah.
chicken.
Yeah,
So-
that's the those are some of the things where I'm not championing us as a wellness brand by any means, but what it is it's very simple ingredients.
Mhm.
There is no alcohol, so that there's a very very not minimal amount that's in cold crashing,
Mhm.
and with this is that my goal is to encourage moderation because
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
sober. It doesn't mean that I'm suggesting other sober people need to drink it.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Everybody's got their own path, their own way of
Dealing
some
with it
people
and stuff.
purist, or some people it's too risky, and that my whole thing is how to be able to socialize in an environment where people are drinking and you can moderate.
Yeah.
So it's I was uncomfortable being around people when I didn't have
Something in your hand.
in my hand. I
Yeah.
know other people can be. I'm at a stage where 10 and a half years of sobriety, I can walk into anywhere. People could be doing keg stands. It doesn't
Yeah, I know,
I
yeah.
don't give a shit.
It's
Yeah.
not part of your life
Yeah,
anymore.
but I do not mind having a beer in my
A
hand
nice
that
cold
I feel
one in the hand,
comfortable with
yep.
that
Yeah.
looks like it appeals to me and the people that
Yeah.
I'm, because that's another thing with this is like, not to get into the marketing and the branding and all this other nonsense, right? But looking at what's out there wasn't anything that spoke to me and
Mhm.
friends of mine that I feel like we're in a group of people that we like what we like, and it doesn't seem like it's available.
Yeah,
This is the type of thing, man. I love seeing what you're doing. I love, I went to your restaurant
Thank you.
before I knew you.
That
and
was
I
the
don't
that was the
even know-
that
this
was
is
the
the weird.
that was
let's
the
talk
crazy
about that.
Yeah, that was the craziest because like I mean I grew up watching you skate, and at your wedding
Yeah.
you sat us at the same table,
Mhm.
and correct me if I'm wrong, but
No, that
I
was
think
Jess.
the story, because I wasn't sober, so I was probably having a glass of wine or something, but like I feel like you were like telling me about a restaurant you
Yes.
loved
I was.
in LA, and I was like, wait, what? And you kept going more, and I go, that's my restaurant.
Oh my
was bizarre,
god, no way.
right?
Yeah, like,
So-
so
That's
so
so
like this
wild.
dude that I've looked up to forever was like, dude, I got to tell you about this restaurant I love.
That's
And I think that anybody
insane.
listening to this knows that that at that time that restaurant was a hard find.
Yeah.
That wasn't something that was commonly known amongst everybody.
that the Scratch
maybe
Bar?
especially skaters and
Yeah.
people in our
That was
in our
sushi,
world.
right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was.
Sushi, yeah.
So we went
The OG
and,
one up on the second floor, hidden,
yes,
no
it's-
sign.
and,
You got to
it-
kind of know. Back then,
you
you
got
had
to
to
know
know.
where you're going.
Yeah.
Nowadays, we're more like we're bigger, but back
Yeah.
then you had to know.
And this was what 2000 maybe 17, 18,
Yep.
somewhere around
Yep.
there, right? So our friends, Andy and Halen Conrad, they had, I think it was a membership or they had some
Yep.
kind of list.
We
that
used
they
to,
were on.
we used to have a membership program.
And they were telling us, they live out in Malibu. We were out visiting them, and they were telling us we got to go to dinner at our favorite spot. And I was like, you know, my wife's favorite food is sushi, and you know, we're going, okay, like yeah, let's do it. And so we go speakeasy style. You go into this front room, and then you walk through the kitchen, and you go in. And I was blown away. And there's only, what was the table seating? 8 people max?
It used to be, back then it was 8. Now it's 10,
8.
but yeah, 8.
Okay, so, and we're there, and I believe we were there was, you know, maybe there was 2 or 3 other people, right? Like, you know, and we're in our group. And I think at the end, the oddest thing, because I still am shocked when people recognize me. I don't know if I'll ever get over it, you know, but especially if somebody's at a restaurant that I'm like being taken to by some friends of mine that really know their stuff, you know, and the chef at the end goes, "Hey, I appreciate your skating," you know, and I'm like, "Oh wow,"
So rad.
Especially at a spot that I'm at like that, you know? And the tab wasn't, you know, it's not a cheap spot.
No,
you know?
you wouldn't
dining,
expect like a Michelin-starred sushi restaurant to be run by a bunch of skaters,
right? And I was like, you see that? Because you know our friends, they don't skate. They're in a whole different world and a whole different bracket. And I'm like, look at that, you know, your favorite spot, they recognize me. And and anyway, I think that we had tried to go back, you know, and just the pandemic happened. There were things that happened. And then what, you know, and I know this is a you know, there's no video to go along with this, but I'm like, Neen's wedding.
Yeah.
We're sitting next to you. You're talking about being a chef. You know, we're talking about life in general. You have a restaurant, or you have, you know, and I'm like, man, I'll tell you, you know, I would love to try your restaurant. I think I was, you know,
they were talking about sushi. Like, dude, I told you,
but I got to tell you about something. You know, that was the thing. I was like,
you were. I was like, I make sushi. You go, dude. If you make sushi, you would love this.
Yeah.
Let me tell you all about the best sushi I ever had. And I go, dude, I can't wait. Where is it?
Insane, dude.
And then I was, you know, I was blown away. And then I thought, well, you know, that makes sense, right? You know, like, I love Neen. You know, he managed to meet you. You got a restaurant that I admire and I appreciate. I admire and appreciate Neen. So it made sense,
It's
you know.
family, right?
Hell yeah.
And, you know, I have to thank Jess for that, because she was the one that like built the tables out.
Curated who
and
sits with
yeah,
you.
she curated the tables, but she curated it because of like who the people wore, and like, oh, these people might have
Well, she's good.
Like,
Yeah.
like Phillip and Ellington will have good things to talk about. Let's put them in the table, and like, you know, she like curated it all.
That was so fun. What a good experience.
Yeah, man.
It made me realize that
We all dressed like
Fort
cowboys
Worth,
too.
And I was like, it's cool out here.
Yeah, you were gonna come out eventually, right?
Yeah, I was, and I mean, it's still at some point I'd like to figure it out, because it's a good way of life.
It's a cool spot. It's like a little bit more laid back, but
Fort Worth.
Yeah, but like Austin's 2.5
I
hours
love that
away.
too.
Austin's a little bit more my speed, because I grew up in LA.
Yeah.
But like, you know, my father grew up on a farm in, you know, Council Bluffs, Iowa. So I have cowboy in me.
Yep.
Like wherever he is right now at 1 o'clock in the afternoon in LA, he's wearing a cowboy hat and boots.
Same with my
in
dad.
the house.
Yeah,
You know, so like,
same thing.
so like, you know, growing up skateboarding, playing, you know, hardcore and punk, and being into food, and having this sort of like going to my grandparents' farm on the weekends in Tucson, like Austin is the perfect place for me.
Yep.
It's that perfect blend, huh?
Yeah, and you're right there in the middle. You know, if you want to go to, you know,
That's the other thing.
San
I have
Antonio,
restaurants in
Houston,
Miami and
Dallas.
Seattle,
Yeah.
you know, and kind of everywhere else. So it's like, you know, 3 hours and I can get anywhere.
completely. Yeah.
Where like when you're in LA, it's like I'm supposed to fly to Tampa tomorrow, and I'm like, but I can't get to Tampa unless it's gonna take 13 hours. Unless I leave at 6 o'clock in the morning.
Right, you got 3 hours, 4 hours from
Yeah.
leaving here, LAX,
Anywhere.
the old
And I
deal.
can get
It's-
direct
it's-
basically anywhere from
Well,
Austin.
I just came from Chicago, and it was a good 4-hour flight.
Oh, yeah.
Normally I'm in the middle in Texas, and it's like 2 hours east, 2 hours west.
I'm gonna
Like,
come out there and
easy.
set up shop with you guys. I'm gonna
Come by.
You should.
Yeah.
give me 2 or 3 years.
Let's go.
You know, I'll be out there.
Dude, hell yeah.
I may not be living full time, but I'll be out there.
Yeah, you don't need to live full time. I mean, he goes back between Fort Worth and Chicago.
Yeah.
And I go
rent
back
them
and forth
out.
between living on airplanes in Austin.
Yep.
I wanted to touch on the sobriety thing.
Yeah.
Because you and we did it differently.
Yeah.
And I don't, like, I had a problem, but I wasn't like, I was able to step aside. And I think, you know, the listeners could also get something from this, is like the route that you took,
Mhm.
right? And why you went on that route, right? Besides, like, you know, obviously it was court order and you wanted it.
Yeah.
But how did that help more than just doing it by yourself? You know what I mean?
Yeah, and to
Because you did try it by yourself.
I did, yeah.
But
But there was
I
a
think
few
it-
times I did that.
Yeah.
You know, I think when I was somewhere around 30 years old, I
Mhm.
tried, and I think I got 9 or 10 months on my own. Inevitably, I'm the type of drinker that goes back to it,
Mhm.
and that,
do you go back because you think, okay, no, I'm good, I got this, or
you know, I
do
think it's a
you
combination of
relapse?
things.
Because I feel like there's a difference between relapsing and being like, no, I think I'm mature enough and responsible enough now to moderate.
You know, I think it might be a combination on my part. I don't think that any of the times where I stopped drinking, I thought I was mature enough to be able to handle it. I just thought that's, you know, alcohol and substances are a replacement for a tool that I don't know I don't know where that tool is to be able to use for the things that I, you know, for my, how would I put this? For the things in my life that I don't know how to deal with, alcohol is the best tool that I have.
It like steps in.
It steps in and it helps me.
Yeah.
So for my type of thing is I don't think I ever thought I was responsible enough to be able to say, hey, I could do this.
Yeah.
I just thought that's the only thing I have to be able to deal with what I'm dealing with right
yeah.
now.
Yeah.
And so what my own journey of a 12-step program gave me was the ability to reflect and look at what my part is in every situation I can remember in my life, and be able to spend time on looking at that, looking at what my character defects were in that, looking at how it affected my life, looking at whose fault that was. And I'm saying fault as in mine.
Yeah.
So, you know, me holding on to a resentment 20 years in the making and it affecting how I interact with people and how that affects my life right now. Those are the things that I worked on and I dug into. So some people can say, hey, I'm gonna put the drink down and I'm never gonna drink again. And they can continue to live and carry on and live just fine lives. For me, my life possibly gets more miserable without the alcohol because I don't have the tool I'm used to deal with and cope.
Yeah.
Because so what I need is a new arsenal of tools to be able to help me. And my 12-step program gave me those tools.
That's awesome.
So I think that would be a summary of what that is. And that's my kind of thing is that I still need that.
Yeah.
So I still need it because now I will be the person who will say, I can probably get by.
Yeah.
You know?
But there's always, it just kind of keeps going.
Yeah,
though.
I can
You know
quickly
what I mean?
remind myself that I know I fucking can't get by.
Yeah.
I'll quickly remind myself. But something comes up in life. I've got people I can count on that I can call, other alcoholics that I can work with, and we can walk through this, and we can kind of come to a common agreement that that's not the best choice.
I love that because I feel like a lot of people could benefit from that. Like people that have tried to get off. I get messages all the time. Like, I'm trying to quit this. How'd you do this? How'd you quit that?
Yeah.
And for me, there's a couple different journeys you can take to quitting something and becoming
Absolutely.
sober.
And it's interesting because all three of us have different like versions of that.
For sure.
Because I'm not by any means sober, but like I've had a couple times where I took a year or 2 years off. And they were like, I woke up one day, I was like, I'm going to, and it was one of those things I kind of felt like I didn't know how to be, like I didn't finish high school. Like I at 15, I lived on the road full time playing music, and like everyone in the band was like 22 and I was like 15. And so like I never got that normal lifestyle, you know? And so like I felt like I never knew how to, like I was the life of the party with a drink, and I needed that. And so I purposefully, I think I was in this was before I think I was in my maybe 30s, early 30s. Yeah, early 30s. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to take some time away and practice that tool. And so the way that I just would Pellegrino, and I went from drinking a gallon of beer a night to a gallon of Pellegrino after service every night. And I'd have my thing in my hand, and it had, it gave me that thing. And then, now like I've gone back and forth with it because I've definitely had times where like I'm like, you need to change your fucking life because you wake up the next morning and you hate yourself, you know, for the night before, and I've had this mindset of like, okay, I recognize that I fucked up. That's just that was just I made a mistake. It's like I didn't land the trick.
Yeah.
Last night I didn't do it right. We're gonna try it again.
Yeah.
So instead of giving up on the trick, I was like, I'm gonna go out and I'm still gonna do the trick, but I'm not gonna fall as hard this
See,
time.
you're built in the way where you can actually learn from the past mistakes of that. I wake up and do the same trick over and over and over, and I fail it the same exact way.
Yeah.
You know,
You like
whereas,
wake up miserable and you're like, oh,
yes,
well,
and I'm
let's
going to
just get
try
right
and do
back
it
into
different, and it ends up being the exact same way over and over and over.
And do you
again.
think though that if you, and I'm not suggesting that you know that you start drinking again, but do you think if like having 10 years off and being the man that you are today and having so much more wisdom and willpower, et cetera, do you think that you could if you wanted to? Like actually
Absolutely
practice?
not.
No?
Alcohol
Just
changes the chemistry in my brain.
Yeah.
And
You're not wired.
So
I
I was-
will burn the whole thing down.
Yeah.
And it will be only a matter of time.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I grew up as an alatot, so I'm
You got the experience of
so I and maybe that's why I'm able
it's
to
possible.
you
You're
know
hardwired from the beginning with that.
so
Well-
I completely respect, understand, and believe because I was you know privy to that.
Isn't it great information, though?
It
I mean,
is.
That's great information that anybody should be privy to, regardless of what kind of a problem or not problem that you have with alcohol.
Yeah.
Whatever your relationship is with it. Because these are just practices that I think everybody in society can benefit from.
Yeah.
You know, so.
Well, I mean, the point of the whole thing is, you know, regardless of the method it takes to get there, the method is not to let something fuck or control your life.
Yeah. It's
Mhm.
acceptance.
Yeah.
Right. It's acceptance of the way that something is that's beyond your control. And a lot of times it's like, you know, I want to play the conductor of everything and everything has to be within my control. And if somebody doesn't do something or react a certain way that I feel like they should be, then it's their problem. And you know, so it's always a constant pointing the finger about what somebody else could have done or this
Mhm.
Yeah.
situation could have been different. And there's not a lot of, see, you know, I think that you may have the benefit of reflection. So
Mhm.
it's the same thing as you wake up and you look at what happened the night before. You can reflect on that and you can make a real decision on how to change that or how to moderate
Yeah.
or whatever it might be.
I mean, but again, it wasn't you know, it was a 15-year
Long process.
Yeah.
Didn't come overnight.
No,
Yeah,
no.
yeah.
I actually do have a question for you though, because we kind of glazed over it, and I would love to get back to it. So you mentioned you got sober for roughly 14 months, right? A little
Mhm.
bit less because of, you know, you didn't start right away, but then, you know, you get the verdict that you do or the sentencing that you do, super light, super grateful. And then you said your sobriety only lasted about a month
Yeah.
after
Yeah.
that. What was the catalyst to go? So you went back to drinking,
Mhm.
which we don't necessarily have to get into.
One night, yeah.
But like,
Was that just like celebratory or
Nope,
something?
it wasn't celebratory.
Okay.
It was
but because I'm curious about when would you like, nope, that's it, and it stuck. And what was that?
So I would explain it simply this way, is that throughout that 14 months, I knew that alcohol led me down a path now at that point that could jeopardize my freedom for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
The safety of others, the
Mhm.
future outcome of my kids, and all those other things. I
Mhm.
recognized the difference between what was right and what was wrong. Or
Yeah.
maybe that's an odd way to put it. I recognize the difference
What
of
works and what doesn't?
what works and what doesn't. Now, I didn't quite have what it took to stay sober
Mhm.
because the reason that I actually drank was a culmination of events throughout my dry sobriety over those 14 months.
Yeah.
Events and things that I had done that had created a web of challenges for me
Mhm.
that all came to a head one night.
Ooh.
So basically, I became better at doing bad things throughout my sobriety without working a program to be able to be a better person, right?
Mhm.
So simply, I became better at bad shit because
Yeah.
I wasn't fucked up,
Yeah.
right? So it's not like just cutting out the alcohol for me made me a better person or made me, you know, it just got me sober. That's all
Yeah.
it really did. So I still was living in bad behavior, and the culmination of those events happened one night, and my resource, my tool to be able to use was alcohol.
Yeah.
And then in the end of the night, looking for drugs, doing what I'm doing, Next morning, I woke up and I thought, well, the terms of my probation were you can't drink.
Yeah.
Like it was all written. You know,
It's like,
I
we're
just,
going to be 30 years, but you decided to get sober. So,
and then a couple weeks later, I go right off the deep end.
Yeah.
So fortunately, I knew, you know, I knew enough about the 12-step program to know that I needed to get a sponsor. I needed to do the work. I needed to spend that time reflecting, analyzing, making amends, doing what I needed to do.
Yeah.
The moment I was out of town at the time, the moment I got back to LA, I went to the guy that I thought I was like, hey, you know, this is a guy that I respect, I admire. You know, he's in a program, looks people in the eyes when he communicates with them, shares about challenging things in his life, shares about how he gets through them. And I said, can you sponsor me?
Yeah.
And then since then, that's been the part that was the harder work.
Yeah.
To be able to, which now, you know, at this point, life throws challenges at you, and it's always going to, right? You know,
Yeah.
I just now have an arsenal of tools that I can use that aren't alcohol and drugs. So
I always felt like after going sober, like putting the booze down, that it was easier to deal with problems and life's challenges.
yeah,
Like with a sober
100%,
mindset.
right?
You know what I mean? You're
Yeah.
just like, okay, wait.
Yeah.
You tend
Yeah,
to
that-
de-escalate a little bit more often.
yeah, you know.
yeah.
Yeah, and it kind of goes away, you know, and you kind of move on to the next thing, or you like get busy doing something else. I'll figure that out a little bit later.
And then what was your, like, sort of, because that was our two ways, and I know this, but what was your way?
For me, I mean, Jess, my wife, she helped me out a bunch, you know. Obviously, when I tore my ACL at 28, you know, I was messing around for years and, you know, not getting a good rep from, you know, sponsors, endorsements and stuff, and losing sponsors and stuff. And, you know, I was fearing the end of my career, really.
Yeah.
So I just, you know, when I tore my ACL, there was like a catalyst right there of like, I could keep partying and messing around, or I can put the booze down, heal up from this surgery, which takes about 9 months to a year, and then just try to really be the best that I can be to continue with my career for as many years as I can, you know. And
that's
was
when
like,
you took on a healthier lifestyle and you were starting to work out. So would you say it was your passion for something that you loved more than what you loved with drugs and alcohol?
Exactly.
Okay.
Like my passion for like skating and, you know, obviously how hard I worked to
get there,
a professional skateboarder, really just took over. Like, you know, it would break my heart to lose it all at that time, you know, because that was like my thing, you know, and it was like,
you work your entire life to get there.
Yeah.
And then you're celebrating the victory of getting there, which is ultimately going to take it away.
Exactly. And I was just like, you know, one thing has to go. And then when I put the alcohol down, luckily I had Jess, which was basically a sponsor, right? That I was living with, that also put it down. So it helped me for those.
She stopped drinking when you stopped drinking?
Yeah, and she took off 3 solid years.
Okay.
So the person that I hung out with most, besides like all you guys and my skater homies, whenever I went home, it was like
you had that support back home.
I had my support back home.
Yeah.
So it kept me off of alcohol and drugs and stuff.
Right.
And once I was able to build up that amount of months and years, it was a lot easier to not pick it back up. And also I picked up like fitness and nutrition. I started educating
So these
myself.
were like you basically you replaced that with healthy obsessions that you were then
like, how can I be more explosive? How can I, you know, like these injuries I'm dealing with, like how can I not make them hurt anymore? You know, like how can I continue to skate, continue to jump downstairs and do the things I want to do.
And then it
skateboard.
opened up a world of things that you never knew you'd be interested in.
Yeah.
Or maybe you had a slight interest in that you were like, you know, because you had maybe more time or there was.
And then from that too, it's like,
because you've always loved cooking.
Yeah, I always loved cooking. But when I cleaned up my act, I was able to save money, so I was able to eat better food. So that's how I met him at his restaurant. You know what I mean? And like, I mean, things just kind of went from there.
We
you know?
like the way we met. I think I hit you up online or something like that because I saw you were like skating in Austin or you're skating somewhere in Texas. I was like, hey, if you're in town, you should come check out my restaurant. You know? And he was like, oh, I don't have any friends that want to come with me, but like, is it cool if I roll solo? I'm like, yeah. So he came in and sat directly in front of me.
Yep.
And it's really crazy because I've had thousands of people sit directly in front of me.
Yeah.
But like that weekend, you and your wife are like spending the night at the house
Mhm.
and like immediately like best friends.
Just hit it off.
Just in a way where it was like, it's almost like the way you made friends in middle school because you saw someone with a shirt that, you know what I mean?
Yeah, you shared
and then
similar
you're just
interests.
like, oh, we
Yep.
are friends.
Yep.
Because the thing was like, pro skater who loves to cook,
Mhm.
pro cook who loves to skate.
Yeah, yeah.
So
But-
we just
but it-
like clicked.
But it
like,
was a very
instantly.
specific thing because everybody likes to cook, right?
Yeah.
Everyone I meet is
Mhm.
like, oh, I love to cook. But he shows me in his backyard, he has built a hearth.
Mhm.
And I was,
think you've seen it.
Yeah.
You came
and
over.
I was, back in 2014, I built a hearth in my restaurant Scratch Bar, which you've seen when you
Yep.
walk through, and like that wasn't really a thing. They existed, but nowadays they're everywhere.
Yeah.
But like that's how I cooked. I cooked in a
Okay.
big open fireplace, and now the skater that I like, he built a replica of what I have in his backyard.
Yeah.
Dude, this is
I'm
fucking tight.
cooking over
Yeah,
by
yeah.
that fire
That's
and
not just
stuff,
like,
you know?
oh, I make salads at home.
Yeah.
It's like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
so it
This
was
is real.
yeah, it was pretty cool.
Yeah. I mean, these are the things, these are the things that I enjoy most now is like, is throughout the choices that we make in that positive way,
Mhm.
because I would guarantee that you wouldn't have gone into that restaurant and been talking about what you did
Oh,
had
for
you not done what you had done before,
Mhm.
right? It just
For
wouldn't
sure.
have put you in that scenario.
No, I would never be where I am right now. if
No,
I
no.
never made that choice.
Well,
Like,
you
if-
just, you wouldn't, your circumstances and what you valued as what was important in your life would have been
Mhm.
getting a bag or doing this or whatever it might have been, right? It
Mhm.
wouldn't have been like, oh, let me sit down and eat a good meal
yeah.
and then enjoy the company of a person you can share those things with.
And-
Our priorities were just different.
They were different back
Yeah,
then, yeah.
yeah.
And I think, it's the same as your story. It's like everything happens for a reason. And then
Mm-hmm.
the negative of me tearing my second ACL and like being in the house and getting the thing that I love the most taken away from me for a year.
Yep.
Kind of turned into a positive because then it got me like, okay, like I got
1000%.
you
That
know.
became one of the biggest blessings in your life
Yeah.
that happened.
and everything for me that has happened in my life after that was like everything that's going for my future now,
Yeah.
which has been such a blessing.
It's amazing. And then you can keep that perspective too, because things aren't going perfect, I would imagine, right? You still
Never.
have challenges in life and
For
they'll
sure.
always come up.
Yeah.
But now it's how we react or respond to those,
Mhm.
what we choose to do. And then just using that perspective as like, I think that we err more now towards the how to get it done in a way that, it's just so much different than it used to be.
Mhm.
You throw your hands up, fuck it, the world's out to get me, like, oh, again,
Yeah.
Murphy's Law again.
Of course.
Of course,
But
it's
then
me.
you say, fuck you, world. There's not a damn chance that I'm gonna
That's
fucking
right.
give up.
Yeah.
That's right.
And that's the whole fucking thing is like everybody that we've talked to who has found success at some point has said that in the mirror.
Yep.
Whether those exact words or not,
Mhm.
fuck you, world. There's not a damn chance you're taking this away from me. I'm going down with the fucking ship,
Mhm.
and it's fucking make it happen, or I'm gonna fucking die trying.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Because that's
Yeah.
really the only way to actually get it. Because life is never gonna give it to you. It might make it available for you.
It'll become available.
yeah.
It's whether or not you take that, you jump at that. Right?
I think it was I can't remember who said this to me. I think it was Guy Fieri, but he said, everybody has the opportunity for success. It passes by everyone. It's only those who are ready to not only grab it but to hold on to it that will find the success.
Yeah,
Because it's
Yeah.
available. You can have,
Yeah.
and you can even touch it for a second,
totally.
but you'll
Yeah.
never actually possess it until you are ready for it.
Yeah. Love life, man.
It's a wild one.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm to answer back to your original question, it's like I wouldn't be able to have this conversation with you had I
Without
thought
a
that
real
I
one of
could
these?
that I could do it. Yeah, exactly. Yep. That's right. And these are the beauties of getting older, life, experiences, challenges,
yeah.
all of this,
Mhm.
all the things that if I was the conductor in life and I wouldn't have put certain challenges in my life this way, and I would have made it easier, or I'd have done it this way or that way, it wouldn't have allowed me to have those experiences or
Yeah.
share that, the same thing, you know, share those experiences and be able to do what we're doing right now.
Mhm.
Well, as sort of the conductor, I lost my little thing here. As sort of the conductor, as we sort of start to wrap up, we always have this sort of question that we ask everybody, which is like, you know, magic lantern on the table right now, and you can design what your life looks like 10 years from now. What does your life look like? Where are you? What are you doing?
Let's see. Oh, that's a hard one to be put on the spot with.
I love it.
You know, let me see here. I think what I like about life right now is being able to learn, adapt, build, create, share, and communicate with people I love, right? Like, you know, like me adapting or learning something new. And I sort of touched on this when I was young, I started a skateboard company. You know, these are extensions of what, you know, where I feel like where I put my creativity into and what I share with other people. And then, you know, then it turned to clothing design and footwear and, you know, things like this where, you know, when I was designing shoes, I just loved to see the reaction of people where they were like, you know, it made them feel good to put on a pair of shoes. You know,
So sick.
it makes them want to step out. And that made me happy. So I'm in the service industry in a similar way, you know, and that, you know, right now it's manifested itself in Easy Does It. I don't know where that manifests itself. Lately, I built my own house. It took 2 years. I didn't do the physical building, the design, and most of that stuff. I did that. So it might be in, you know, I wanted to make my neighborhood look better.
Yeah.
You know, like I don't know where it's going to manifest itself. That part is God's plan.
Do you feel that any of that comes from the program in the terms of like being of service?
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
I love
So I think that as long as I stay sober, as long as I can share these things with people, I have a strong work ethic. I can make it work. So whatever that manifests itself in, it will be doing something very similar in the actual act of it that I'm doing right now.
Hell yeah.
And I don't know where that goes, but it will be, you know, I hope, I pray that I can continue to be able to deal with challenges in life and be able to not react in a negative way. And then I can also deal with success in life and not and react in a humble way. So my whole thing is can I continue to be humble through success? Can I continue to face the lows in my life with dignity or you know, without beating myself up too bad?
With grace.
Yeah, with grace, exactly. That's a great word for it. Because I can beat myself up. I speak from memory of before sobriety and after. And every other day that I live, I get another lesson on how to do better at that. So I pray and hope that I will continue. And I guess that's, you know, where do I see myself in 10 years? Shit, my kids are old. You know, I mean, you know, 16 and 19, they're moving. You know, my son's moving out of the house.
Son will be 29 at that point.
In 3 weeks. Yeah. I mean,
wow.
I hope that I've given them the tools to be able to, you know, I've shared with them a lot of my story and they've seen it firsthand. And, you know, I hope that they could continue to deal with the lessons and experiences in their life in a way that they can lean on me and they can make healthy decisions. I hope my wife and I are still healthy. I hope my friends are. I hope we can maybe be doing another one of these in 10
Hell yeah.
years.
Well, let's do it sooner than 10 years.
Sooner than
but-
10
Yeah. But you know,
for
like
sure.
this is I think, you know, I can't speak for you guys, but I think I'm living the dream. You know?
It's one of my
This
favorite answers we've got so far.
Yeah, that was great.
Because what I'm taking away from it is like, I'm very happy with where I am.
Yeah.
And I didn't choose. It wasn't mapped out from the beginning,
No, it
so I have no desire to map out the next 10 years.
Yeah.
I'm just excited to take the ride, and
Yes.
that's super inspirational.
Yeah. Thank you. Life is, you said it, you know, it's the journey.
Yeah,
And fuck, man, I'm happy to be here.
Hell yeah.
Yes.
Well, we're happy to
Yeah.
have you. And dude, that is so good. How can people find this? Is it out yet? Maybe
It'd
we can
be-
put a link up here or something like
and
that.
we got to get them in the restaurants too.
That would be awesome.
across the states.
Let's do it. Right
Yeah,
now,
man.
we're like, I'm going to, for the first probably, I can't even say the number, but 6 to 12 months, focus on LA
Mm-hmm.
and then go, possibly San Diego, San Francisco. But when we step outside of
Does your
LA,
license only allow for California?
No.
Can you do
Doesn't at all. I
At
can
least
go,
Texas.
I
or-
just, yeah.
Because if you can just ship it to us, forget trying to
absolutely.
market to
Yeah, we
other,
could get it.
we'll be the only ones to take it.
for sure.
That would be amazing. Yeah,
Mhm.
I was gonna say the first place I go outside will be Austin.
Yeah.
and
Let's
then that'll be cool. Like I would be so honored if you guys took it. That would be cool, man.
Yeah, man.
Thank you.
And when we do it,
definitely will.
you should come out.
Let's
We'll do
fucking-
like,
Yeah,
we'll like, we'll promote it. People will
Mhm.
come out. You can sign cans
That
or
would be
whatever.
so
like,
fun.
That'd be fun.
It'll be like an old demo.
Slams,
We'll be-
slams. Some demo juice.
yeah. It'll be similar in a way,
Let's
except
do
in a
it.
more positive way.
We've been
than
talking
me
about-
and Neen used to do it.
We've been talking about doing like NADC Slayer demos. We've been talking about starting a team.
Oh,
Yeah.
that'd be super
Just
fun.
like something fun.
Yeah.
To give back. You know.
Be a great. I mean, that's the thing is using the experiences in your life that you had through traveling the country and the world, doing
Yeah.
demos and like, because there was so much fun and energy in that.
Mhm.
Like you show up to a town and you're skating and kids are stoked on that. To be able to have the hub or the like catalyst for that be Not a Damn Chance,
Yeah.
and then to use that as a platform
Mhm.
to be able to do the similar things that like, because that was always my fear. I'm not to go on a whole other tangent from this, was to find something I loved as much as the feeling and satisfaction I got from skateboarding.
Oh, dude, those demos from back in the day were
Yeah.
so fun.
And now you can find that in these other things. It's like
Yeah.
pulling a trick you've been trying for
Yeah.
8 hours or
Mhm.
practicing for 4 weeks. We can get that now. I didn't know that was possible,
Mhm.
and you can get it now.
Yeah.
Which to blend those worlds is like, that's cool. That to me is the coolest thing.
A lot of our staff and cooks are skaters, which is
Awesome.
really dope. Yeah.
I
And
would
they
say like
rip, too.
85%. I mean,
Yeah,
it's
rip,
funny.
dude.
That's cool.
We get some cooks who want to work there because of me, but we get a lot of cooks who want to work there because of
The
him.
skaters.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, that's a
they're so
nice
sick.
mix, though,
Yeah.
isn't it?
But it's awesome because like during South by Southwest the last 2 years, we had a food truck set up on 6th Street. And right where we're set up is like a 6 stair, like
Crusty
six.
six
It's like a
stair.
crusty 6
Horrible.
stair
Horrible.
to like it's like 6 stair to like a little sidewalk
Yeah.
gap. And when we're not busy, the guys who like are wearing aprons and stuff, they're getting out and they're 360 flipping the
Yeah,
thing.
gnarly.
And,
Wow.
and we're,
So
filming,
gnarly.
we're filming it.
They're
You know,
good.
we
Yeah.
have guys who work for us that like I'll watch online and be like, holy fuck.
Yeah, they're good.
Yeah.
They're really good.
Like they
Yeah,
would like
that's awesome.
back in my day, that would have been a big fucking deal.
Yeah,
Nowadays it's crazy what kids can do.
I know.
But
It's in a different place, but yeah, having people that are willing to it also speaks to the character, if they're
Mhm.
if they're doing that, they're busting their ass at
Yeah.
the shop, and doing what they're doing
Yeah.
that they love, having interests like that, like that's cool.
Yeah, man. I want to say thanks for coming, dude.
Oh
Yeah.
man,
Yeah.
my
Thank you.
pleasure.
You've been like an inspiration for so long. Like I grew up watching like Misled Youth. That was like my video. You know what
Yeah,
I mean?
yeah.
So it was like to like get to meet you afterward and like known you for like 15, 20 years or
Yeah,
something.
yeah.
It's
Remember you were living in your van and we had Thanksgiving at the apartment. We were-
Yeah,
My
yeah.
kids were like, I think at the time maybe 8 months and
They were so small,
and
yeah.
2.5-3 years
Uh-huh.
old. Yeah.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, that was-
Thank you for everything, man.
Well, I got
It's
a
been-
couple years on you as far as that goes, but I appreciate what you do and the inspiration you give to people. So that
Thank you,
goes
man.
both ways. It's
Appreciate
really
it.
awesome to see.
Appreciate it, man.
Yeah.
Hell yeah. Thank you.
Dude, Phillip, thank you. I love you guys.
Yes,
Love
man.
you.
Love you, brother. Thank
Yes.
you.
That's a wrap on today's episode. Hit subscribe now if you want to follow along. We have some awesome guests lined up that we sit down with. Make sure you follow the Not a Damn Chance podcast on socials at NADC Podcast. See you next week.